Welcome to Court Helicopter Weekend Explainers. Today, this country has so many young people who all of them have degrees. The population below 45 who have degrees is more than the population that doesn't have degrees. Every family has at least 2 free children who have gone through the university and they have a degree. When I grew up, it was a village, and any time there was a graduate graduating from a university, the villagers could come singing and dancing, because the whole of then there were no counties, there were districts. The whole of the districts, you can find 10 people graduating from the whole of the district, what you nowadays call a county. The question we are looking at, how many of these graduates have been funded by the HELB, Higher Education Loans Board? Over 80% of the graduates have taken loans from the Higher Education Loans Board. Do you know the consequences of not paying that loan as a person who took the loan? Do you know that? Do you know the consequences the guarantor has if one guaranteed you to get the Higher Loans Education Board? Do you know the consequences as an employer? As an employer, do you know it is illegal to employ a university student who is a graduate who was funded by HELB and you don't remit the money? The law is there. I know my good graduates from private universities are not affected with this. But I'm told the law was amended. Even those ones who went to private universities were funded by Higher Education Loans Board. Let us see what the law says. Section 15 of the Higher Education Loans Board Act says, a loanee shall be required, subject to and in accordance with this act or any regulation made thereto, within 1 year of completion of his or her studies, or within such a good period as the board decides to recall its loan, whichever is the earlier, A, to inform the board of his contact address. Have you, since you graduated, notified the board of your contact address within 1 year? If you have not, that is an offense. So the board must know where you are. Number 2, you must begin to repay your loan together with any interest accrued within a year. But the question is, how many years do graduates take before they get employed, before they get a job? But the law is, as we told you, Court Helicopter brings you the law as it is, within 1 year. Third, if he or she is in a formal employment, to authorize his employer to deduct the loan repayment and to remit it to the board in such a manner as the board may direct. If you are in any formal employment, you must inform your employer to start deducting your money and send it to the loans board. Have you ever told your employer you are funded by HELB? Most people say that is private and personal. My employer has no business to know how I went to school. My employer needs to see my certificate, my degree, and employee. He should not be asking me who paid school fees. That is a lie. Now you know. It moves on to say, if you have flouted that, any loanee who fails or neglects to satisfy the requirement of this is guilty of an offense and is liable to a fine not less than 5,000 shillings in respect of each loan deduction that remains unpaid in accordance with this provision. If you fail to pay Remember, and that is where the catchphrase is. For each month, because the loan is deducted each month, you will be required to pay a penalty of 5,000 for each month. So for 1 year, you will be required to pay 60,000 shillings. Those are fines. Normally, the loan for these students is around 200 or 300,000. So if you have defaulted to pay for 2 years, 3 years, each year, interest of 60,000 shillings. So if you have taken 6 years, or if you have taken 5 years, my friend, you're talking over 500,000 as interest to HELB. Today, you know. Will you ever save? People are laughing. People are saying Tuju never paid his loan. Have you paid yourself that loan? Are you a Tuju in the making? Young graduates, remember, you will pay what you are given by HELB, and you will pay an interest of 5,000 shillings per month. Let us go to the responsibility of the employer. Why will Court Helicopter be told to be punished because the crew that work there did not remit the money? Why will an employer suffer? Are you an employer? Have you employed a graduate who was funded by HELB? Here is bad news for you. Every employer shall be required, subject to, in accordance with this act, upon the employment of any loanee, to inform the board in writing within a period of 3 months of such an employment. As an employer, anytime you employ a graduate who was funded by HELB, within 3 months, you must write to the Higher Education Loans Board and tell them that I have employed Bramwell, who was a student at the University of Nairobi. He is now within 3 months. Number 2, upon confirmation by the board that such a person so employed is a loanee, to deduct from the wages or remuneration of the loanee the amount due to the board. You must deduct the money yourself as an employer. The burden is not on the graduate employee. The burden is on the employer. Suppose you fail to deduct this money. 2, that is 16.2, the employer shall pay every deduction from the loanee's wages or remuneration in the prescribed manner to the board within 15 days after each of every month. So, if you fail to pay, you commit a crime. And you're supposed to pay a penalty of 5,000 shillings for any month you have failed to deduct. Wow. I think I'll never be an employer now. I have raised my hands. What about the privacy of these young people? The law does not care. The last straw is now, let us look at the responsibility of Kenya Revenue Authority to collect that money. What does the law talk about? Kenya Revenue Authority, Section 16A. The Kenya Revenue Authority shall, at the request of the board, furnish it with the name and address of a borrower or the employer of a borrower if such information is wanted by the authority. KRA will disclose where you are. Every Kenyan has an identity card. Every Kenyan has a KRA PIN. You have got to disclose whether you are a graduate. The digital platform, the multi-agency approach. So stop running away. If you are given help, start paying. Don't take the tuju approach. Section 17, penalties for delayed remittance. Where an employer fails to deduct the payment, he will pay an equal 5% of the total amount of the repayment that shall be charged on the employer for each month or part of the month that the repayment remains unpaid. So what we are trying to tell you, one, it is your responsibility to pay the loans that you took from the Higher Education Loans Board. Two, it is the responsibility of your employer, whoever is your employer, to deduct money and remit to the Higher Education Loans Board. Three, failure to which penalties are excessive. We have said for the loanee is the student who took that, you'll pay 5,000 shillings for every month that you have failed as to repay as an interest. Still, the principal goes. For the employer, 5% of the money that has been defaulted, you'll have to pay. KRA has a responsibility to do that. Wakili Dan Sanumari will always bring it badly, in bad news. That is the Higher Education Loans Board. Nothing stops the government from recovering. It is money. If you still will get a job, remember, anybody who is in government services, it is mandatory the government agencies deduct. Multinational companies deduct. So the question is, are you an employer who has not deducted the money? A serious question arises. My friend Vivian asks, how will the employer know that Cyrus has not paid or Cyrus was funded by HELB? The law says every time you recruit a graduate, you have got to write to the Higher Education Loans Board, giving the details of that employee, her full names, her ID particulars, and where she went to university. In 3 months' time, the board will write back to you and tell you Cyrus was not funded by HELB. It is the responsibility of the employer to write to HELB. So, as employers, have you ever written to HELB asking all these people, are they funded by HELB? No. If somebody comes and says, me have already cleared HELB, HELB gives a certificate of completion. Do you have it? Many of you are going to ask. Many of you are going to look for jobs. Do you know Chapter 6 requirement is a certificate from HELB telling you you have cleared or you were never funded? If you are going to get any job, you went to Catholic University, you went to Zetech University, you went to Daystar University, you went to Strathmore University, don't say, me, I was never funded. You must write to HELB to give you a certificate clearing you that you are never funded. So when you are going to look for a job in any government agency, you must get a clearance certificate from HELB. Graduates who are outside there from private universities, graduates who are outside there from international universities, now you know. Walk to HELB, get a clearance certificate to attach it among your certificates that you were never funded by HELB. What a bad day. What a serious Saturday that keeps people now glued. I'm sure so many will log into the website of HELB and get that clearance certificate. Now you know, Court Helicopter News is never shy to tell you the law as it is. Keep watching as you unfold very many laws that you don't know. Thank you.